The conference chamber aboard the Galactic Unity Station hummed with tension as delegates from 17 species gathered for the emergency summit. Commander Marcus Webb stood near the entrance, observing the assembled representatives with quiet attention. His uniform bore the insignia of Earth's combined fleet, crisp and formal despite 3 months of continuous deployment. The reason for this hastily arranged meeting had yet to arrive, but whispers already filled the chamber. The Velkari delegation huddled together, their crystalline features reflecting the harsh station lights. The Morith representatives kept their distance from everyone, as was their custom. Even the usually gregarious Phoenix traders seemed subdued, their feathered crests lowered in what Marcus recognized as apprehension. She actually had the audacity to request admission to the Unity Council. Ambassador Torrin of the Velkari muttered loud enough for half the chamber to hear, as if the council would ever accept one so visibly cursed. Marcus turned his attention toward the ambassador, noting the disgust that rippled across the alien's features. Before he could inquire further, the chamber doors opened. She entered without ceremony or escort. The Kryn Queen moved with deliberate grace, despite the scars that covered nearly every visible portion of her body. Burn marks traced patterns across her scaled skin, some old and silvered, others still bearing the purple hue of relatively recent injuries. Her left arm ended at the elbow, replaced by a crude mechanical prosthetic that whirred softly with each movement. 3 parallel scars ran across her face, crossing one eye that had gone milky white with blindness. The chamber fell silent, not the silence of respect, but the hollow quiet of revulsion. Queen Vara of the Kryn approached the central platform with measured steps. She wore no ornate robes or ceremonial decorations, only the simple combat harness of her warrior caste. The scars told their own story, one that Marcus found himself immediately curious about. "Honored delegates," Vara began, her voice carrying the slight rasp of someone who had breathed too much fire and smoke. "I come before the Unity Council to formally request admission of the Kryn worlds into the galactic community." "Request denied," Ambassador Torrin said immediately, not bothering to rise from his seat. "The Kryn have no place among civilized species." Vara's remaining eye focused on the Velkari delegate. "My people have met every requirement outlined in the Unity Charter. We have established peaceful contact, demonstrated technological advancement, and maintained. The requirements speak of civilized conduct," a Morath delegate interrupted, his translator rendering his clicks into cold standard language. "Look at yourself, Queen Vara. Those scars mark you as a creature of violence, of chaos. Your very appearance proves the Kryn unsuitable for Unity membership." Marcus felt his jaw tighten. He had seen enough in his military career to recognize the difference between victims and aggressors. The scars covering Queen Vara told a story, yes, but not the one these delegates seemed to assume. "If I may address the council," Marcus said, stepping forward before the moderator could continue. The room's attention shifted to him. Ambassador Torrin made a dismissive gesture with his crystalline hand. "The humans are observers only, Commander. This discussion does not concern Earth." "On the contrary," Marcus replied, moving to stand beside Vara. "Earth's application for Unity membership was approved just 5 cycles ago. I believe we have relevant insight on this matter." He turned to face the assembled delegates, noting the confusion on many faces. Good. He had their attention. "I've reviewed the Kryn petition materials," Marcus continued. "Queen Vara's scars were not acquired through conquest or aggression. They were earned defending her homeworld from the Scourge Plague 16 cycles ago." The chamber erupted in murmurs. The Scourge Plague had devastated 3 systems before finally burning itself out. Every species in the galaxy knew of it. "The Kryn were one of the first species the Scourge encountered," Marcus pressed on. "They had no warning, no preparation. The plague converted their own people into mindless destroyers. Queen Vara personally led the defense of her world's last city. Those burns came from setting fire to plague-infected districts to create firebreaks. That missing arm was lost when she pulled her own sister from a collapsed bunker, staying behind to ensure others could escape first. Those facial scars were earned in hand-to-hand combat against plague-twisted soldiers who had once been her royal guard. He let the information settle before delivering his final point. The Kryn lost 60% of their population to the scourge. They had no allies, no outside support. Every other species in this chamber either fled the infected systems or established quarantine barriers. The Kryn stood alone and fought until the plague finally burned itself out. Queen Vara bears the scars of that survival, worn openly as a record of what her people endured. Silence filled the chamber again, but this time it carried a different quality. Marcus saw several delegates shifting uncomfortably in their seats. "The humans have a saying," Marcus continued. "We judge a person not by their scars, but by how those scars were earned." Queen Vara's marks speak of sacrifice, courage, and an unwillingness to abandon those under her protection. Those are precisely the qualities the Unity Council should welcome, not reject. Ambassador Torin rose slowly. The commander speaks eloquently, but he misunderstands the core issue. Queen Vara's scars make her unfit for diplomatic circles. How can she represent her species when her appearance causes such discomfort among civilized delegates? "Perhaps the problem," Marcus said quietly, "lies not with her appearance, but with delegates who judge character by surface damage rather than underlying substance." The Valkyrie ambassador's crystalline features flushed with color that Marcus recognized as anger. Before Torin could respond, however, another voice joined the conversation. "Commander Webb speaks truth," said Ambassador Rel of the Phoenix, rising from her seat. Her feathered crest lifted fully for the first time since the meeting began. "My own species fled the scourge systems. We established a quarantine zone and congratulated ourselves on our pragmatic survival. We did not stop to consider those trapped inside that zone, fighting for their lives without hope of rescue." Other delegates began standing, their expressions thoughtful rather than hostile. Marcus noticed Queen Vara watching him with her good eye, something unreadable in that steady gaze. "The humans are new to this council," said a Morath delegate Marcus didn't recognize. "Yet already they demonstrate the wisdom we older species seem to have forgotten. Character cannot be measured by unmarked skin or pristine features. The Kryn proved their worth through fire and blood. Perhaps it is we who should feel honored by their petition, not the reverse." The vote that followed was not unanimous, but it was decisive. 17 species cast their judgment, and 12 approved the Kryn petition for Unity membership. Ambassador Torin and his Valkyrie delegation left the chamber before the final tally was complete, but Marcus hardly noticed their departure. Queen Vara approached him as the other delegates filed out, her mechanical hand extending in the human gesture of greeting. Marcus clasped it without hesitation. "You did not have to speak on my behalf," she said. "Earth gains nothing from making enemies of the Valkyrie. Earth gains honor from defending what is right," Marcus replied. "Besides, I only told the truth. Your scars speak for themselves once someone bothers to listen to their story." Vara's expression remained difficult to read, but Marcus thought he detected something like gratitude in her remaining eye. The galaxy judges by appearances. They see damage and assume weakness or violence. Your species looks deeper. "We've learned to," Marcus said. "Humanity has its own scars, earned through centuries of conflict and survival. We recognize the difference between wounds that destroy and wounds that forge strength." The Queen nodded slowly. "My people have much to learn about galactic politics. We are warriors by necessity, not by choice. We will need allies who understand this distinction." "Earth would be honored to stand as such an ally," Marcus said. "Your people survived the impossible. that deserves respect, not rejection. In the weeks that followed, the Kryn integration into Unity society proceeded smoothly despite initial resistance from certain quarters. Queen Vara proved to be a skilled diplomat once given the opportunity. Her directness and honesty refreshing in chambers grown accustomed to elaborate verbal dancing. Marcus found himself working closely with the Kryn delegation on several joint initiatives. The Queen's tactical mind, sharpened by brutal necessity during the Scourge War, offered insights that helped resolve several lingering security concerns in the Unity's outer territories. Ambassador Torrens still refuses to acknowledge Kryn representatives, Vara mentioned during one planning session. He lobbies constantly for our removal from the council. Some people measure worth by perfection of form, Marcus replied. They cannot comprehend that true strength often comes scarred and limping, but undefeated. Vara's scarred face showed the closest thing to a smile Marcus had seen from her. Your species has wisdom beyond your years in this galaxy. The Kryn are grateful for your friendship. The feeling is mutual, Marcus said. Honor recognizes honor, regardless of the scars it bears.